Welcome to Roar Stories. I am so excited that you're here, and I cannot wait to introduce our guest, Elizabeth Stauder. She's from Bend, Oregon, and wow, does she have an amazing story that I think will inspire a lot of people. Now, Roar Stories is sponsored by Extend the Rose, and Extend the Rose exists to bring hope to children and families in the hospital. And hope to other people as well. And this is a place in this Roar Gallery where people come and leave hope when they have it, such as Elizabeth is about to do, but also a place where we can return and be inspired by others' stories. Because hope is a team sport. We're not meant to run this human race alone. And today's story, just like every story that we talk about, is about inspiring each of us to never give up in however that comes into our lives. And wait to hear Elizabeth's story.
Yes, hi, I'm Elizabeth Stauder. I'm a somatic transformation coach, and I guess I'm also just a pioneer of healing in so many ways, and I'm so grateful to be here and to bring my story today.
I love this pioneer to healing and somatic coach. Probably a couple of things that a few of us have never heard before. Tell us what a somatic coach is. I know you
Yeah,
could tell us for an
yes.
hour, but tell us
Yeah.
just very briefly.
So somatics is a way of it's a therapy that helps you get really intimate with your body. It helps you to heal at the level of your body. And it connects the body, mind, and spirit too. And so instead of compartmentalizing, trying to solve a mental problem over here, an emotional problem, a physical problem with physical remedies, it really brings all of this together. And so you start to notice how our physical body is connected to our thinking and our feeling, and actually resolve that at the level of the body. And actually we also work with the emotions and the thoughts, but we're always including the body. And so it really resolves things deeply for the whole person. So not only does it resolve physical things, but you emotionally feel better, you change your thinking patterns, and you just become a whole new person when you do somatic work. Yeah.
I love this, and I love how you tie it into your story and your victory. So tell us what was your victory? What did you have to rise through
Oh my gosh.
to get your victory?
Well,
I know,
honestly,
right?
I
A
know.
loaded
I
question.
was already training in somatic healing when I had my big health crisis. So I guess I could say we didn't talk about this before, but I also rose through a childhood in which I felt like sort of a very sensitive, creative person who didn't really it didn't really like I didn't really feel like where I fit in the world. Like people were very impressed by how intelligent I was and how bright I was, but I didn't know where I fit. And so finding somatic healing started to help me actually bring like a real skill set to my sensitivities as a child. But then the really big thing is that in the last year of that training, I had a major medical injury actually. And it seemed like overnight it did happen overnight, but it was really a matter of days that my health spiraled down, and I ended up with huge mast cell flares and seizures and insomnia, and basically had neurotoxicity going on in my body. And so I went from, working as a nature school teacher and having a relatively normal life and was active to, in a matter of weeks, being bedbound and in pain and semi-disabled and needing people to bring food to me, needing people to help me pay for things, losing my job. It was a very frightening time, and so you could say it was like a collapse of my health, but also my ability to do anything in my life, and so everything came crashing down at once. So that was the fall, you could say, and it was a long fall too because I kept thinking, um, oh, maybe that was really bad. Maybe it'll be better. And then it would just keep going and going and going. And that's the part, it was like the longevity when we're going through something
Yeah.
that becomes chronic, right? It's one thing when you get sick and it's hard for a couple of weeks. And I know that some people who are watching this are going through this experience when when it just keeps going and you're like, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? It just gets darker and
Yeah.
darker and you're like, it's just a tunnel, it's just dark. Um and so what starts to happen is it's not just that your physical body is tired and in pain, but you just go into depression and it's like you can't maintain a sense of hope or optimism when day after day is just survival. And so that's what it was. It was like survival,
Yes.
you know? Um, and so for me, there were a lot of things I ended up learning how to do in getting really intimate with my body and helping actually turn that around. Because as you can see, I'm doing well today. But even before all those things, it actually was for me a deeply spiritual and faith based experience that turned it around. I had a moment where, and it's funny because I woke up and thought, but the reality was I probably didn't sleep at all. I maybe slept in like 5-minute bursts and just was lying there in the bed in the
Wow.
morning thinking about whether I would even be able to get up to feed myself that day. And I thought if I had a pill I could take right now, I would take it. And I'd never had that thought consciously in my life before of like, it would be easier to be gone. And if there was an easy way, I would do it. Um, and I made a prayer. I said, God, let this be a gooey cocoon. And what I meant by that was like the metaphor of a cocoon, like a chrysalis that a caterpillar goes into, that is
I
dark and
love
gooey
that.
and confusing and scary. But ultimately, it's the house for
We
transformation,
know the
right?
ultimate.
That's what the cocoon is. It's
Yeah.
you could think it's a tomb that you're getting buried inside of as you dissolve, but it's also the house that's making it possible for you to become something new. And I realized I might not survive this.
Hmm.
Or I might survive this and be disabled for my life. Like even if I can manage the pain, like I might not be able to walk, I might have a bad quality of life. So what's even more important to me than surviving? Because if surviving is the only thing I'm trying to do, like there has to be something more than that. I think that's where faith comes in, right? It's like what's even more important to me than surviving? And I realized the most important thing,
Yeah.
more important than surviving, was feeling loved by something greater and feeling
Hmm.
feeling love, right? Like what's the faith that a caterpillar, it's not necessarily they even think about it, it's just built into their tissues to let go and to turn into goo, like that takes tremendous faith to be like, I don't know, like if I'll wake up ever. But
Wow.
something bigger must be happening here, something greater. And so that was my prayer. I said, may something greater come of this. And I actually give up control of deciding what that's going to be. And I hand that over. I hand that over to something greater. And then I let that faith just guide my
Surrender.
steps, right? I let that surrender guide my steps. Um, so I was like, I'm not going to be closed to whatever you send my way that is going to be strange and interesting that I need to try that I've never tried before to change my life to see if it's possible for me to turn this around. And so I went into some deep and interesting places and I opened up some very vulnerable places inside and I let myself be seen and I let myself be held and I let myself um, take radical care of myself. I turned my home into a sanctuary. I placed boundaries in my life around everything and anything that didn't really honor and respect me. So in a way, when I said I'm choosing that love, I also was given the guidance that, okay, so I want you to change your life so that anything that really isn't love, you're not going to entertain that anymore. You're going to say, no, like this is how I do it. And this is when I go to bed. And this is how I need to eat to take care of my body for right now. This is And this is the kind of therapy that actually holds me. And this is the kind of medicine or therapy that's not attuned, and I'm not going to do it. So I really started listening through my heart. What was healing me, not just on a physical level, but on a soul level. Uh, and I started to take steps, and I radically reinvented a lot of things, including my microbiome, which I learned so much about. I learned so much about the inside of this body is like a whole planet. It's like an ecosystem, and just like you can go into the ocean or the forest and rehabilitate it if there's been damage. You can give the right ingredients to bring the fish back into the coral reefs and get everything healthy and thriving again. We can do that here. Our bodies are not objects; they're regenerative, living systems, right? And so, I learned to treat my body like one, and to be an advocate of my inner coral reef, and to say I'm going to nourish it back to life and restore it back to health. And I did.
So I love this because um, you're hitting on so many like simple points in a very deep and meaningful way. And so your action started with just a step of surrender, and that little bit of surrender gave you hope that something new could come along. And then that new that came along, you were open to, because so often, right? I mean, we've all heard that joke where the guy's in a flood on the top of his house and he's praying for God to rescue him. And a rowboat goes by and he's like, no, 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 God's going to rescue me. And another rowboat, no, no, God's going to rescue me. And then a helicopter comes and no, no, God's going to rescue me. And the guy dies and he goes to heaven.
Yep.
And he's like, God, you didn't rescue me. And God says, I sent two rowboats and a helicopter. And so you
Recognize
were
God when God.
open,
Yes. 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 Yes.
right? You were
Mm.
open, and then you took little steps toward
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing that you were open to, and ultimately invited that solution and that hope and that healing into your life. And I love this because it's just such a beautiful story of you opened yourself, and God answered. And so
Yes.
tell us what happened.
Yeah. I found different pieces of the puzzle started coming in, and it's funny because it's still happening to this day, because I feel like what I stepped onto was a whole different paradigm of living,
Love it.
right? Right. So I went through like some portal that was like, okay, this is me choosing life and love for myself. And so the first thing was, getting these Chinese herbs that actually helped my blood stabilize enough that I actually didn't go out. And then that led to me having the health to be able to join to join a group that helped me completely reset my gut. And that was crazy and intense, but I found a community to help me do that. And then that led me to finding the person that helped me get my labs to see that I had metal toxicity, and oh, how can I do that in a gentle way? And so every step along the way, it was about nourishing myself. And this is important, right? And I like how you said step by step, because I think what can happen a lot when we lose hope is that we get into like an all or nothing. Like, if I don't get it all fixed
Yes.
overnight, then why would I even try? But there's something so empowering about participating in your healing instead of just giving, like saying, I want someone to rescue me, kind of like that story that you mentioned about the helicopter. And it's, to me, it was also radically transform my relationship with God and spirit and the universe to say, oh, um, God doesn't want me to just be a passive participant in my life. Instead, I'm meant to co-create my life. And so each step, whenever I get stuck, I would just be like, okay, I am asking for help. I am surrendering. But once that answer came, like you said, like once something was like presented to me, it was like, okay, now it's my job to try this on. That's my job in Earth School, is to try it on. So I just kept doing that and doing that. And over time, You know, part of it too was having the courage to feel some of the pain that would come up along the way, because sometimes when we're healing, it's
Mhm.
like something will get loud right before it goes away. It's like almost like taking a skin off. It's like you've been carrying this heavy thing around, and it's like, oh, it's like right when you wake up, it's like you realize how heavy and painful it is, but that's because you're actually like about to cast it off. Like, it's like our nervous system has a mechanism to go numb when we're carrying a pain around for a long time. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to handle it. So when you
Yes.
start to feel the pain, it actually means you're getting closer to getting rid of it, because something in you has gotten strong enough to feel it. And so that was something I recognized too, is that even though it seemed to happen overnight due to this injury, there were lots of pains I'd been carrying, both physically, chronic, probably different infections, or ways that my terrain was sluggish or the hormones were out of balance, and different things that I just didn't notice because they weren't bad enough for me to notice. And then this accident happened, which
Yeah.
just exacerbated it all. But what it did was give me the opportunity to get to know myself. So I think that was the biggest thing,
Mm.
is like I got to know and be so intimate with myself and not be afraid of my pain. Because the more I got intimate with it, the more that I could transform it. Um, and that led me to eventually being like, oh, that's the next thing the universe wants me to do, is to help other people do that and to create a community to help people do that. And that's when I stepped onto my entrepreneurial journey doing that, which I never would have anticipated. So it just led to the next thing and the next and the next, where it wasn't just about healing my body, but also making my life that palette, you could say, for the divine. That like paint palette for the divine.
I love this, and I love that you keep going back to step by step. And we were talking a little bit about how we're layered, and how we have to allow the cure or the hope or the something that's going to change where we are right now. We have to allow it to penetrate our layers. And I love that you're describing it super um, sweetly. I don't know what other word to say about it,
Yeah.
because it's like peeling an onion skin, and just allowing that beauty or that healing to penetrate each layer. And I think in our world, we get into a lot of instant. I need instant. I need to feel better right now, or this thing's not working. And that's not at all what you just described. So this hope came in your life, and you took a series of steps, and now your health is, it's not only restored, but it's better than it was. And then the really cool, I was just going to say, the really cool thing is now you share this, all that you've discovered, with others. And I think that's the ultimate love, right? Is that the thing that we needed the most, when we get to share it with others, it really shows that we're healing and we're loving beings, right?